So we have started this series, and we have done 7 lectures in this series, The Ship Zion. We're on lesson number 8, or study number 8. And I'm just going to give the basis of the study. We have gone quite far in this study. It's going to be difficult to review all the study before, but hopefully we can catch on and we can press forward. So the study is based on an account of a voyage that the Apostle Paul had, that's documented in Acts 27 verse 1 to Acts 28 verse 13. And in this discussion, we're using an application. So we're looking at Acts, yes, 27 1 to 28 13. But we have realized that 2 Timothy 3 verse 16 gives us some pertinent instruction. All scripture. How many scriptures?
All.
So does Acts include it?
Yeah.
Yes. So all scripture is given by what? Inspiration of God, and it's profitable. So it's beneficial. For what reason? For doctrine.
Reproof.
For reproof.
For correction.
For correction. For instruction in righteousness. 2 Timothy 3 verse 16. So we have been applying this discussion in Acts 27 to Acts 28 in an allegorical approach. Now what do I mean by allegorical? An allegory is a story, a poem, or a picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning. So we appreciate what we're saying? So we're saying the story of Paul's journey in the ship. It has a deeper spiritual meaning. And we have to dig deep and apply both the Bible and the spirit of prophecy to tease out this deep meaning as we see Paul in his travel on this ship. The ship that Paul travels on, we have likened it to the ship of Zion in our allegorical understanding. Where Advent Review and Sabbath Herald November 1858 says, let us keep on board the old ship what? Zion, which the Lord has piloted through all the perils of a sea of time for 6,000 years. And we're just looking at just that piece of time where the ship have been traveling that's applicable to the Seventh-day Adventist movement. And we came to an agreement and an understanding in our first 3-4 studies that clearly showed us that the ship of Zion is a Seventh-day Adventist movement with Jesus as captain, the remnant people as passengers, the spirit of prophecy as co-pilot, the biblical prophetic word as the master chart, the restored or present truth as its cargo, and the organization as the timbers of its framework. No, I'm not just putting that out there. Earlier in the series, the first lecture primarily, when we looked at captain, cargo, and construction, we showed from the Word of God and the Spirit of prophecy that this is indeed the case. Right, so I see a few of you nodding because you were there for that discussion. Now I'm stating as a state of fact here, but bear in mind that this was established in our deep earlier studies. No. So Paul's journey to Rome is likened to the journey of the Seventh-day Adventist movement. In great details. So in our journey, we saw that Paul went on a grain ship, a wheat ship in the city of Myra, and they left on this grain ship and they went to Cnidus, then Salmone, then they went to Fairhaven. When they got to Fairhaven, it was well far in the autumn. At that time of the year, it was difficult to travel because it was very difficult time because of the constant storms. And the Word of God says they chose not to winter at Fairhaven because it wasn't what? commodious. So they chose to do a 34-mile journey from Fairhaven to Phoenix, which was a more comfortable and accommodating place to see out the winter. But when they left, what should have been just a part of a day's journey, they were caught up in a wind called what? Euroclydon. And here we see it in Acts 27, 13 to 14 says, and when the south wind blew softly, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, loosing thence they sailed close by Crete, but not long after there arose against it a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon, or a northeaster. And we had an entire discussion on the northeaster, that who comes from northeast is Babylon. Looked at Jeremiah, looked at some parallel prophecies there. Remember that? Yes. And we learned that in the allegorical sense, Paul talks about us being tossed about by every wind of what? Doctrine. So in the allegorical sense, the wind here is not strife per se, but the wind of doctrine causing strife. And we saw in the early days of the church, the early 1840s, there were two issues that were causing much tumultuousness in the Advent movement. And that was this unsettling doctrine of spiritualism, and Sunday sacredness was being threatened and mentioned, opposing God's 7-day Sabbath as early as in the 1840s, and creating great discomfiture amongst those on the ship. I'm going to somersault forward now to verse 39. I'm not going to be able to study the intervening verses from verse 16 to verse 38. That's going to take us another 1 hour, and I want to get to the issue for now. But we learned this morning that, and when it was day, they knew not land, but they discovered a certain creek with a shore, into which they were minded, if it were possible, to what? Thrust in the ship. I'm at verse 30. Now verse 39. Verse 40, sorry. And when they had taken up the anchor, because we learned earlier that the ship was on a course to hit land, but how many anchors were thrown out from the stern? 4 anchors. And we saw in those 4 anchors the allegorical application, the 4 angels in Revelation chapter 7 that holds the winds of strife. And God in his mercy saw that the people of God wasn't sealed. So he cast out 4 anchors, because who is the captain of the ship? Jesus. And we saw that a time has come when the anchors are being what? Risen up, lifted up. And we saw that the 4 angels are loosed in the wind of strife, even in our present time now. And they committed themselves unto the sea, and they loosed the rudder bands. We discussed rudder bands this morning. The rudder bands were used for what? The rudders were used for steering the ship. So when the rudder bands were loosed, the rudders were what? Into the sea to what? Steer the ship. Steering directly for the shore. And I made a point this morning. I want us to never forget this point. On this ship of Zion, on this Seventh-day Adventist movement, Jesus Christ is in control. We need not worry ourselves. He's the one saying, take up the anchors. Friends, are you listening?
Yes.
He's the one saying to these 4 angels, loose the winds of strife. He's the captain of the ship saying, loose the rudder bands. Because I'm what? I'm going to make our path straight forward for the shore. And hoist up the mainsail to the wind. Who is on the ship saying to the sailors, raise the mainsail into the wind?
Jesus, captain.
Friends, do we get the point I'm trying to make? The point I'm trying to make here?
Yes.
Is that on this ship Zion, we need not get anxious. Because the captain, the pilot, Jesus Christ, is the one saying, raise the anchors. Is the one saying, loose rubber bands. And he's also the one saying what? Hoist the mainsail to the wind. And we saw in the same wind, the same tempestuous wind called Euroclydon, that over time it has become more subtle and deceptive. So from spiritualism, we see now spiritual formation. And we're discussing this afternoon some of the issues facing the church. 40 days of fasting, contemplative prayer. Yes? Spiritual exercises. Yeah, we're discussing some of that.
Yeah.
That's some of the manifestation that we're seeing the Seventh-day Adventist movement right now. With this wind of doctrine that's in the sail, that's driving this movement on a collision course with Rome. We saw Sunday celebration happening in which churches? Seventh-day Adventist churches. We saw the whole issue of ecumenism and the joint doctrine on justification. And we saw the deception involved there. That we're not justified by the life of Christ, we're justified by his what? His blood. And we saw the whole issue of climate change, that there is programmed in this issue of climate change a trigger for national and an international Sunday law. So that's where our discussion got us this morning. But there's a point I want us to make, and I'm going to be very deliberate. This ship of Zion, this Seventh-day Adventist movement, the anchors are just about fully up. The rudder bands are loose and the captain is steering for shore. The mainsail has been hoisted, and spiritual formation, Sunday celebration, ecumenism and climate change are driving this Advent movement toward the shore. Now verse 41 says, and falling into a place where two seas met. So the anchors are up, rubber bands are pulled, the rudders are in the water, the captain is steering for land, the mainsail is up, the wind of strife driving this movement on a collision course. But we'll have to pass through a place where two seas met. So let me give an idea what we're talking about. So here the ship of Zion here. And you have one sea current on the right, and you have one sea current on the left. So two seas met at this point here. A place of serious turbulence. Now, Numbers 16:40 gives us the understanding of what it means to stand in between. And he stood between the dead and living, and the plague was stayed. So here we see the high priest was what? Interceding. So standing between the gap is an act of what? Intercession. So what does that mean? Hear what early writing says regarding this ship of Zion, God's servants on the ship. God's servants have to deal plainly, act openly, and not cover up wrongs, for they are standing between the living and the what? Dead. So between two seas meet, in spiritual understanding, sea represents what? Nations, peoples, multitudes, and tongues. So we see that this Advent movement as a work of intercession where two seas meet. Which two seas? The living and the dead. Oh, the living and the dead, I'm going to explain that soon. Are standing between the living and the dead and must render an account of their faithfulness, their mission, and the influence they exert over the flock which the Lord has made them overseers. So here's the answer now. What is this work of intercession that we, the Seventh-day Adventist movement, the ship of Zion, that's between two seas, what's the work that we must do? Here's the work. 5th Testimony 252, second paragraph. The spirit which characterized that wonderful meeting on the day of Pentecost is waiting to manifest its power upon the men who are now standing between the living and the dead as the ambassadors for God. Listen carefully now. Now, what are their work in this standing that they're doing? The power which stirred the people so mightily in the 1844 movement will again be revealed. They third angel message will go forth not in whispered tones but with a what? Loud voice. So friends, understand the point. Understand the point clearly. We are at a point in our journey now, in the ship of Zion, this Advent movement. The anchors are being what? Raised up. The rudders are being what? Loose. The captain is steering the ship what? Straight for land, and the mainsail is up, and we are being pushed by these winds of doctrine. And before we strike land, we need to act a job of intercession between the living and the dead as we preach the what? Third angel's message. That's the message we have to do.
Yes, between the dead and the living.
So how so? Here so. The Seventh-day Adventist movement separating the two seas with the full ministry of intercession. Those who accept the third angel message is what? Life. And those who refuse the third angel message is what? Friends, that's where we are. We are a people that's standing between the two seas. And the message we preach is a third angel message. For those who accept the message, is life. For those who refuse, is what? Death. Just as the high priest, when he ran in the midst of the people, those who accepted his intercession, they what? They lived. Those who refused, they what? They died. So we are serving a purpose as ambassadors for God, as intercessors for God, as bringing the third angel message for God, as the ship of Zion. This Advent movement enters just before it strikes ground. We will be the separation between the living and the dead. How so, Mr. Preacher Man? By the third angel message. It is the last message to give to our world that's dying. And those who accept the message shall be what?
Shall live.
Shall live. And those who refuse the message? Shall die. That's the importance of what we are called to do. So, 27:41, and falling into a place where the two seas met, Seventh-day Adventist movement interceding between those who accept the word of God, accept present truth, the living, and those who refuse the word of God, refuse present truth, the third angel message, the dead. Then the word of God says, they ran the ship what? Aground. So let me say it clearly. Let me say it clearly. In 1888, this ship of Zion was to hit against Rome. The Son of Law would have been passed. The prophecies would have been fulfilled. Jesus Christ would have come and taken us home. From as early as 1888. But God saw in Revelation chapter 7, he says what? Hurt not. Why? Because the people of God were what? Sitting there for it. So in short what? Short what? 4 anchors, 4 angels to what? Hold back the ship of Zion. Don't hit us yet. Why? The people of God need to be sealed. But we have passed that time where the anchors are holding fully. The anchors are being loosed now. The rudder bands are being loose. So what? The captain is steering the ship where? Straight for where? Sure. What is driving the Advent movement in this calamitous hitting against Rome?
Sunday sacredness.
Sunday sacredness we see in terms of the Sunday celebration. Ecumenism, climate change. Those are the issues, the winds of doctrine pushing the church. But before we collide, we must fulfill our work as intercessor where the two seas meet. The living and the dead. Then the captain is going to run the ship aground.
Jesus.
So the question we need to ask ourselves now is this. We're going to be discussing ship aground. And the question I want to ask is this. How close we are to the Seventh-day Adventist ship of Zion running aground by the design of the captain. I tell people that's why I don't worry. I don't worry anymore when I study these things. Because I say that Jesus Christ is the one fully in control, so why am I going to worry? if he is the one saying anchors up, if he is the one saying loose rubber bands, if he's the one saying raise the mainsail, if he's the one saying we're going to go between two seas, if he's the one saying we're going to run aground, why am I worried? My job is to what? Stay on the ship. So we're going to discuss ship aground. So what do we mean by the ship running aground? Here what the Review and Herald, June 4th, 1901, paragraph 10, Ellen G. White in the Spirit of Prophecy says. And I'm going to read this so I want you to understand what we're going to be studying this evening. Listen what we're studying this evening, friends. Listen. The law of God and the law of Caesar have come into collision. Is that past tense? In the context, is that past tense? Well, it is. Let me show it to you. Oh. And will come into collision again. So have it come into collision, I mean that there's what? A present collision going on.
That's apology.
Where's there first on the law?
Yes.
When was that? Do you remember? 8320 by who? 321 by who? Constantine.
Oh, okay.
You following the message now?
Oh.
So the law of God and the law of Caesar have come into collision. But here's the point I want to get. And will come into collision or what? Again, that's when the ship come around. When the law of God, which which law we're talking now? The Sabbath, come in collision with which law now? What's it do with the law of Caesar? The Sunday law, then the ship runs aground. Then the collision is going to be made. So let's read it and let that understand now. The law of God, the Sabbath, 7-day Sabbath, and the law of Caesar, the Sunday law, will come into collision. Have come into collision. We discussed that there was a Sunday law before, 321 AD, Constantine. And will come into collision again. The question we have to answer is, shall we obey God or Caesar? A great movement is now on foot to put the first day of the week in the place of the day God has sanctified and blessed. So does the Spirit of Prophecy say there's going to be a collision between the ship of Zion and Rome? Absolutely. In what context? In the what? The opposing laws, the Sabbath issue is a point of collision. Are you following me, friends? Have I lost anybody?
No.
I hope not. So let's go one more time. After the work of intercession between the living and the dead, this Seventh-day Adventist ship, this ship of Zion, will collide with Rome. How so? Collision between what? The law of God and the law of Caesar. So the question we're going to spend the next 45 minutes or so to do is to just answer one question. And I'm going to be very clinical. I'm not going to preach tonight. Very little emotion. One question I'm going to answer. How close are we to the collision that will occur again between the law of God, the Sabbath, 7-day Sabbath, and the Sunday law, the law of Caesar? We're going to spend some time and discuss that. And that's where I want us to focus. Because this ship will run aground. That collision must be had. Let's see how close we are to that collision. So, question. How close are we to the collision between the law of God, 7-day Sabbath, and the law of Caesar, the Sunday law? Question. We're going to start our study in Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13, the first 10 verses describes a beast rising from the sea, which in previous study we know is the Roman Catholic Church system. Are we together on that?
Yes.
I don't think I need to establish that. That's fully established before. We have studied that many times before, and I see the virgin nodding. Right? Revelation chapter 13, the first verse 1 to verse 10 describe a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns rising from the what? Sea. Everybody with me so far?
Yes.
And we have understood before that as the Roman Catholic Church system, the first beast. I will not be able to establish that now. This is kind of advanced studies, all right? Then we saw a second beast rising in verse 11. We're going to get to verse 11 soon. Which we have studied before that. Which was that second beast? United States of America. So Revelation chapter 13 has two beasts. The first beast, the Roman Catholic Church system, and the second beast, United States of America.
I have a question. I'm a little perplexed here.
Yes, my sister.
About the Sunday law.
Yes.
How do you see the bear law in 1888?
We're going to go right in there right now.
Okay, all right.
Hold on a little bit. Hold on a little bit on that. So here we go now. I will discuss the Blair Law before in a previous study. So as I said to you, it's hard to really summarize
That's okay, I will just...
everything. All right? No, but let me answer that. So the question is asked is this. In 1888, Senator Blair brought a law to the Congress to pass a Sunday law. Could that law have been passed? Yes. But was the people of God ready for that?
No.
No. That's when the 4 anchors were thrown out the ship. That's when the 4 angels were told to hold the wind of strife. Because if that Sunday law had passed, then the judgment would have shifted from the righteous dead to the righteous living, and the people of God weren't sealed as yet. That's where the 4 anchors were thrown out, to give the people of God a probationary time. So the probationary time for the Seventh Adventist movement is from 1888 until the point where God says what? Enough. Your probationary time is closed. Then we're going to be seeing a Sunday law, which I'm going to discuss how close we are to that Sunday law now. Alright, so we're going to discuss how close we are to the Sunday law. So as we said before, Revelation 13 gives 2 beasts. A beast with 7 and 10 horns, we saw the Roman Catholic Church system, and a beast with 2 horns. We learned to be the USA. That's previous studies we have done before. Verse 13 in Revelation 13 says, verse 11, says, then I saw another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a what? Lamb, and he spake as a dragon. This second beast coming up, we said the United States of America. No, this is going to be advanced study. We're going to get some very deep stuff. So I'm not going to spend much time trying to lay what a beast is and what horns represent. I won't spend much time on that. I want to get in some deeper stuff. 2 horns like a lamb. What does horns represent in prophecy? The ram which, Daniel 8:20 says, the ram which thou sawest having the 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia. So horns represent what?
King.
Kings are kingdoms. So, in this one nation rising from the earth, there's 2 kingly principles. Are you following me? Are you following me?
Yes.
So we saw the Revelation 13 verse 11 say, I saw a what? Beast rising from the what? Earth. And that's how many horns?
2 horns.
2 horns. And what the horns are what? Kings. So in this one nation, there's 2 kingly principles. Or 2 principles of its governance. Are you following me? So, here we're talking about. So the 2 principles of the governance of the United States of America is republicanism, not the Republican Party. It's a different concept. Republicanism means that the power is with the people. We got that? That's republicanism. That's the concept of that. We're not talking the politics of the Republican Party now. So republicanism, which says one nation under God, or a nation without a what? King. And Protestantism is what? One church under God, or a church without a what? Pope. So the second beast arising from the earth with 2 horns have these 2 governing principles.
Church and state.
Are you seeing that, friends? Republicanism and Protestantism. Now, Jesus Christ in Matthew 22:21 gave a very important biblical principle. They came to him and they gave him a coin. And they said, must we pay tax to Caesar? Remember the discussion?
Yeah.
And Christ said, let me see one of your coin. Whose head is this? Whose picture is this? They say Caesar. And he says what? Render to Caesar the things that are
Caesar's.
and to God the things that are
God.
So that's the principle of the separation of church and state. It's a Christian divine principle given by Jesus Christ himself. Do you get that, brethren?
Yes.
So separating church and state is not of human devising. It's of a divine heavenly origin. Christ says, render the things that are to Caesar, that is the state, to Caesar. and the thing that are God's to who? To God, the church. So the church and the state are what? Separate. By whose design?
God.
By God's design. So this nation rises as a lamb with lamb-like principles of a separation of church and state represent the United States of America in republicanism and Protestantism. Let's go a little deeper now. These two principles are encoded in the First Amendment of the United States of America. How so? So the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Are you seeing the separation right there? Congress is the what? State must make no law representing what? Respecting what? Religion. So is there church and state separate in the First Amendment to the Bill of Rights?
Yes.
Is that based on the principle that Christ established in Matthew 22 verse 11 or 21, sorry?
Yes.
Separation between church and state.
Yes.
Is that seen in the beast with coming from the earth with two arms?
Yes.
Protestantism and republicanism.
Yes.
Is that seen in separation of church and state?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this First Amendment prevents this United States of America to establish a church and state partnership or church and state union by law. Agree?
Yes.
So the First Amendment is a wall of separation between what? Church and state. Revelation 13:14 tells us something going to change. Revelation 13:14 says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had to do in the power of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had a wound by a sword and did live. What is it saying? It is saying that those who are on the second beast is going to make an image of toward the what? To the first beast. So make an image to the beast. So the second beast is what? United States of America. Going to make an image looking like the beast of which one? The first beast. So let's ask a question now. Let's ask the great controversy, page 445. What is the image to the beast? Or the image of the beast? The image of the beast represents that form of apostate Protestantism which will be developed when the Protestant churches shall seek the aid of the civil power for the enforcement of her dogmas. So the image of the beast is church and state coming together. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
There it is. Protestant churches in league with the what? Civil power of the state. So the image of the beast is church, union. Are you seeing that, friends? Have I lost anyone? We have a problem. We have a major problem. Who's the problem? The First Amendment said that's not supposed to happen. So we have a major problem. So how is that possible then? We have been told by the word of God in the spirit of prophecy that that image of the beast is going to be formed, which is a church-state union. But the First Amendment says that can't occur by law in the very Constitution. So how is that going to happen then? Well, let's see. Revelation 13:14 says, gives how it's going to be done. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. So the making of the image to the beast will be done by saying to them. Are you seeing that, friends? Follow me. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. Now, how does a country speak? Saying to them. Great Controversy 442, first paragraph. The speaking of the nation is the action of its legislative and judicial authorities. By such action, it will give the lie to those liberal and peaceful principles which it has put forth as a foundation of its policy. So let's go back. So saying to them, how does a country speak? Laws. So is this saying that the US is going to make a law that's going to result in the forming of a church-state union?
Yes.
That's exactly what it's saying. saying to them, saying is what? Speech, right?
Yeah.
Saying is speech. So saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. So it's going to be true or what? Saying to them.
Verbally.
Not verbally. Because we learned that speaking of nation is what? The action of its legislative and judicial authorities, which is what?
Law.
A law.
But won't you have to speak it first and put it into law?
Yeah, but let's understand in the spiritual sense now. That the saying is what? Speaking of the nation is what? Action is the judicial action.
It's already there.
So let's look at that now and understand how that works out now. Let's look at that. So I'm going to take you back to some very relevant history. This is so important. Please, just try and concentrate. It's going to all come together and you're going to be smiling and saying, wow. But there's no other easier way to do it. Because we're trying to show from history and the Word of God that though the First Amendment says there can be no church-state union, there will be a church-state union. So it's going to take some effort for me to show you that. So let's do that now. Diplomatic relations existed with the Pope in its capacity as head of state of the Papal States from 1848 until President James Polk to 1867 under President Andrew Johnson. These relationships lapsed on February 28, 1867. Congress passed legislation that prohibited any future funding to the United States diplomatic missions to the Holy See. Listen, friends. So from 1867, the United States of America did not have any diplomatic relationship with the papacy. Are we clear on that?
Yes.
Yes.
We're clear on that. So 1867 coming forward, was there a church-state relationship between the papacy and the US? No, we just learned that. So from 1867 coming forward, there was no church relationship between the US and the papacy. However, I'm reading from this article here, US and Vatican restore full ties after 117 years. That was published January 11th, 1984. So 117 years after 1867, something occurred. What did occur? Here it is. Washington, January 10th. This I'm reading from New York Times. The United States and the Vatican established full diplomatic relationships today for the first time in 117 years. Why 117 years? Because the last time was when? It was 1867. This step announced here at the Vatican this morning was described by a spokesman for the Reagan administration as intended to improve communications at a time when Pope John Paul II has become increasingly involved in international affairs. Now listen carefully now. So, one of the senators in 1984 saw this church-state union coming back with the US having a relationship with the Vatican after 117 years. And listen what he said. Senator ARSH Hollins, Democrat of South Carolina, and a candidate for his party's presidential nomination, said he would oppose elevating the special representative to the rank of ambassador. It's in violation of the First Amendment and sets a bad precedent. You got that phrase?
Yes.
So he saw that after 117 years, the US and the papacy was now forming a what? Relationship. Because the First Amendment says they must go what?
Separate.
Separate. No relationship between church and state. So he is saying that a violation of the First Amendment. Is he right?
Yes.
Yes. Is that bad precedent? Yes. But listen what occurred. Establishment of full diplomatic ties with the Vatican was made possible by a move by Congress. Congress makes what? Laws. Last year lifted a prohibition on diplomatic relations enacted in 1867. The original product of widespread anti-Roman Catholic sentiment and concern about the struggle for Italy, that's all craziness, led to the withdrawal of the American minister to the Vatican, Rufus King. Here's the point. Since the time of President D. Franklin Roosevelt, some presidents have sent personal representatives to the Holy See. But attempts to upgrade the diplomatic contact have been opposed in no period. In November, however, when Congress repealed the ban. How do you repeal a ban? You repeal a ban, make a what? A law. So that's the saying to them. Remember we said saying must be by what? The legislative branch making a what? Law. So in 1984, the legislative branch made a what? Law, which what? Allowed what? A relationship between what? Church and state. Which church?
Catholic.
The Catholic Church and which state? United States of America, when they send ambassadors, another full relationship there.
Read the last part.
Yeah, I'm going to read the last part. And there was no debate in either House or Senate, and therefore there was no public attention.
Wow.
There was little public attention.
So in other words, the law was changed and the people of the country
Didn't have a clue.
Because they didn't bring it to the house.
Didn't have a clue.
Nada clue.
And that's why I'm taking, I know you guys asked lots of questions, but I'm trying to push on. Let's hold on the question a little bit until we finish. So that's a saying. So the saying is the legislative action that was made in the what? 1984. But to them who? It says saying to them. Who is it them? Who are the them that dwell on the earth? Well, last Events 129 verse 3 told us, political corruption is destroying love of justice and regard for truth. Even in free America, rulers and legislators in order to secure public favor will yield to the popular demand for a law enforcing Sunday observance. So who is it the message is going to? Legislators and rulers, legislators.
Popular demand.
Let's look at this one.
Not the common people.
Not the common people, friends. Let's get this part. Let's get this one. Testimonies for the Church 5:450. Satan will excite indignation against a humble minority who conscientiously refuse to accept popular customs and traditions. Men of position and reputation will join with the lawless and the vile to take counsel against the people of God. Wealth, genius, education will combine to cover them with contempt. Persecuting rulers, ministers, and church members will conspire against them. So who are the them? Rulers, legislators, men in position and reputation, persecuting rulers, ministers, and church members. So, it did occur. So in 1984, William Wilson, the first U.S. ambassador to the Vatican, is greeted by Pope John Paul II in Vatican in 1985. President Ronald Reagan named Wilson the first ambassador to the Vatican in 1984. The precedent for a church-state system was set. Are you understanding so far?
Yes.
It's going to get even more interesting now. Don't, just please, just bear with me. I know it's a bit intense, but it's necessary history. I'm going to show you that it takes 2 steps into the making of the image of the beast. So the precedent is set there. But we learned before that the image of the beast is apostate Protestantism, who seeks favor with the what? Civil power. You get that, friends?
Yes.
So the beast is the what? Papacy. So the beast and the image of the beast image is what? The papacy linking with the what? State. But the word of God says is an image to the what? The beast. And the image of the beast is apostate Protestantism linking with the what? The civil power. Well said, my brother. How is that going to happen? How it is that apostate Protestantism is going to be linking with the civil power? Now what I'm going to do now is going to be very interesting. Let's get at it. 2 steps. Ellen G. White said something that I think we missed for many years, and we didn't believe her. We need to start to believe that lady. She knew exactly what she thought. This is what she said. And let me see if you guys catch how the image of the beast is going to be formed. This is what she says. Great Controversy 445, first paragraph. When the leading churches of the United States, uniting upon such points of doctrine as are held by them in common, 2 things need to happen. And I put them in yellow. Shall influence the state to enforce their decrees. Are you seeing that? 1. And to sustain their institution. then Protestant America will have formed an image to the Roman hierarchy. You guys got that?
Yes.
So how was the image of the beast is going to be formed?
First,
Church.
all the churches have to come to agreement
Churches must come to some agreement.
on the doctrine.
All right, but after they come to the agreement, what will be the effect?
Enforce.
They first must have the state to enforce their decrees.
Which they
Listen
do
carefully,
now.
friends, listen carefully. And second, to sustain their institutions. How do you sustain something?
Funds.
Friends, we can't move here unless if you guys don't get it, we can't move. You guys must get this before we move on. The image of the beast is formed in a two-step process. So we see the precedent that has been set before by the papacy having a relationship with the United States of America. Have we seen that?
Yes.
Yes. That's a precedent set. But it's an image to the beast.
No, it's not yet.
Image to the beast needs to be formed.
Yeah.
An image to the Roman hierarchy. Roman hierarchy is a church-state hierarchy. So that image to that church-state hierarchy. But I want you guys to clearly get how it's going to be formed. First, there must be the leading churches having the state to enforce their decrees. And secondly, they must have the what? State to what? Sustain the institutions. Then
Protestant.
America shall form an image to the Roman hierarchy. So if somebody asks you, what are the two steps that must be carried out before the image of the beast is formed? What are you going to answer them? Shall influence the state to enforce their decrees. Is that true?
Yeah.
So the Protestant churches must influence the state to enforce their decrees. Their mean the church's decrees. And the Protestant churches must be sustained by who?
There is
The state. Then the image of the beast is going to be formed. I can't move here until you guys see it, because if we don't see this, you're not going to understand the rest of what I'm going to do.
so.
I'm going to explain it. I'm going to prove it to you. But I need you to understand first. That is a two-step involved for the image of the beast to be formed. We must first see where the church is working and influencing the state to pass their decrees. And we must see the church being sustained by what? The state. Then the image of the beast is going to be formed. Are we clear on that?
Yes.
Is everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Anybody not clear? And this is so important. Virgin, we need to study prophecy to the very words. So I can't move on until we are absolutely clear on this point. Let me go one more time. When the leading church of the United States, so the church is going to be what? Some agreement. Then they're going to have the state to enforce their decrees. Then they're going to have the state support their institutions. Then the image of the beast is going to be formed. Are we clear on that?
Yes.
Alright, let's get into that now. So we're going to discuss influence the state to enforce their decree. Are we there yet? Are we way beyond this? Let us see. Religious lobbying groups have dramatically increased in Washington. You know what a religious lobbying group is? Who know what a religious lobbying group is?
I know them, but
It's when church or church organizations go to what?
Congress.
To the Congress to what? Or the Congress to what?
Show something that they want.
Push through their decrees, yes.
what they want.
Yes. I'm reading from Huffington Post by this author, Religion, 2011. With heated nationwide arguments in recent years over issues ranging from same-sex marriage to abortion rights, it's no secret that religious organizations play a significant role in influencing the nation's
Policies.
All right? Let me give another article. You ever heard about the Christian Coalition?
Oh, yes.
Yep.
I've given you where it was retrieved from, so this is not my making up, I'm just giving it from the ARSH's mouth. The Christian Coalition, this is not me writing this.
I know that.
This is me putting this on the screen, and I'm giving a reference. The Christian Coalition was formed in 1989 by Pat Robertson. The declared intent of the Christian Coalition is our efforts do not stop with voter guides. We actively lobby Congress and the White House on numerous
Issues.
What did the Spirit of Prophecy say was the first requirement for the image of the beast to be formed?
It must influence.
Yes! The leading churches must what? Influence to what? State to what? Enforce their decrees. And I've given you 2 examples of that already. I've showed you this one and I've shown you the Christian Coalition. Let me read on the rest. We actively lobby Congress and the White House on numerous issues and hold grassroots training seminars and events all around the country that draw thousands of pro-family supporters and help organize activists on critical issues facing our country. Christian Coalition offers people of faith the vehicle to be actively involved in impacting the issues that they care about. From the county courthouse to the halls of Congress, the coalition is a political organization. Today, Christians need to play an active role in the government again like never before. Ten Commandments Commission. I'm discussing all these religious groups coming together. Because the prophecy says what? When the leading church is what? Come together and then what? Influence the state to lobby the state to enforce the decree. That's the first step. Ten Commandments Commission. The Ten Commandments Commission was formed in the spring of 2005. The main purpose of this organization is to rally public officials, community leaders, international diplomats, and grassroots activists to instill Judeo-Christian values in society. The TCC has launched a campaign to press the Senate to adopt a resolution to officially recognize the Ten Commandments in American society. Is this a fulfillment? Is this a fulfillment for the first requirement for the image of the beast to be formed?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. Another one. In the past 2 decades, the American religious right has become increasingly Catholic. So there's a Catholic influence going on. So is the first requirement fulfilled already? Yes. Yes. The first requirement is shall influence the state to enforce their decrees. Through all this what? Religious what? Lobbying. What's the second requirement? Alright, I'm just following what the Spirit of Prophecy says. Let's look at that. So we'll discuss sustaining institutions. So in 1984, Senator Lyndon Johnson slipped an amendment called the 501c3 Corporation on the end of the Ways and Means Bill approving funds for use by not-for-profit agencies. 501c3 Corporation is a business corporation and an instrument of the government organized with privileges of tax exemption. I want you to focus on this. So in 1954, Senator Lyndon Johnson was having some problem. He was getting some bad press from some religious groups in Texas. Listen carefully. This is the history I'm giving you. So in 1954, Senator Lyndon Johnson was having some bad press from some religious group in Texas. So he said, I'm going to fix you guys. He slipped in this law called the 501c3, which says, if you are not for profit like a church, you can have certain tax exempted privileges, but you can't discuss politics from your pulpit. You got that, friends?
Yes.
You got that, friends?
Yeah.
Let me go one more time.
Yes.
So in 1954, Lyndon Johnson was having some bad press on some churches. And he said, I'm going to fix you guys. I'm going to create a system where you guys can get the tax privileges. Let's say you're going to buy something or import something in the country. You don't pay any tax on it. But if you are part of the 501c3, you can't discuss any politics from your pulpit. You can't speak against me or support me from your pulpit.
If you do,
because if you do, I can come back and what? Snatch your exemption status and put you under some serious penalties for that.
Yep.
That's exactly what was done. So in 1954, the 501c3 came into being. And what was the effects of that? the churches, in essence, were what? Muzzled. So I'm reading this down. Churches, like other non-profit organizations, have a special tax status. They are what? 501c3 organizations. You have to apply for it. They are called so because of the following specific provision in the tax code. The words in the next slide are referred to as the Johnson Amendment. So the 501c3 is the same thing as the Johnson Amendment because it was from Lyndon Johnson. And this is the actual code in here. This is the real McCoy. Alright, I won't read it through, but I want you guys to see it and take a picture of it if you need to. All it basically says is that if you're a not-for-profit agency, there are certain restrictions on you when it comes to political matters. Are you following me, friends?
Yes.
Because you have the privilege of tax exemption status. No. With that law in the book from 1954, something interesting started happening to fulfill the second part, which is sustaining their what? Institutions. On March 7, 2006, the Bush administration put into law a new executive order that encouraged churches to incorporate the 501c3 status. So in 2006, the Bush administration went on a nationwide plan to get as many churches as possible under the 501c3. Let's read the actual, this is the actual executive order. This is actually it. This is not my word, this is it. Section 3. Responsibilities of the Center for Faith-Based and Community Initiatives in carrying out the purpose set forth in Section 2 of this order. The Center shall coordinate a comprehensive departmental effort to incorporate faith-based and other community organizations in department programs and initiatives to the greatest extent
Possible.
So in 2006, Bush started a faith-based initiative, community faith-based initiative, and said all the churches will want to be what? Incorporated. So they get the what? Tax exemption. So are they being sustained now by the state?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But it gets even more interesting. That was 2006. And that was a faith-based community initiative. And there, this is it. There they signed it. All these religious leaders there, and he signed the executive order. This is the real McCoy. The Obama administration did something more interesting. The Obama administration have elevated the faith-based initiative to a new White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnership under a gentleman called Joshua Dubois. So they gave what? More what? From a community initiative down to a what? Office in the White House. Are you following me? And they strengthened it, and they had more churches incorporated or under the 501c3. Stay away, guys. It's going to make sense quickly, I promise you. This is what Obama says. Joshua understands the issues at stake, knows the people involved, and will be able to bring everyone together from both the secular and faith-based communities and academia and politics around our common goals. The White House Office of the Press Secretary. All right, 2009. 3 years later, after Bush. Pay attention, friends. Here he's signing that executive order. There is Joshua Dubois right there. This is the real McCoy I'm giving you. So we see a stronger effort being made to what? Sustain the churches through what? Through the tax exemption privileges. So, started in 2006, strengthened in 2009. And all the religious people are in the background clapping and applauding. Because they're getting their tax exemption status, and they're getting their their tax privileges. They're getting that break. So we see a state church union right there. You see that? Yeah, this is a state church union. Because the state now supporting the what? The church, through these tax privileges. So was the image of the beast formed from as early as 2009? Absolutely. How so? First criteria was met. With the religious lobbying, was able to know what? Influence Congress to what? Enforce their decrees. Was that what the first requirement we said?
Yeah.
What was the second requirement? Sustain the institution. What's that being done?
Yes.
By when? By 2006, 2009, that was fully in place.
Yeah.
The churches were now what? Incorporated and were getting what? Tax breaks from the who? The government. So by 2009, the image of the beast was formed. Requiring, there's two requirements. The churches must come together. We saw the Christian coalition, the Ten Commandment coalition, all these different churches coming together and saying, these are our issues. We want you to what? Sustain our these decrees. First requirement. Then 2006 we saw Bush. Second Bush said what? Let's start these faith-based community initiatives. And let's get these churches incorporated. And Obama came on board and said, let's make it even stronger. Let's have an office of faith-based initiatives. So by 2009, the image of the beast was formed already. But here's the point now. And he had power to give life to the image of the beast. So when the image of the beast was formed, it had no life. It required what? Power to get life. Are you getting that, friends?
Yeah.
So the image of the beast formed by saying to them that dwell on the earth, but did it have life? No, it was a dead image of the beast. It was there, but it was dead. Formed, but dead. But the prophecy said, and he had what?
Power.
It didn't say by speech, my sister. So get the point. Get the point. The image of the beast was formed by saying, but for the image of the beast to get life, it get life by what?
Power.
Friends, we got these in the nuances.
Yes. Clear.
Please, brother, you must get these points. So the image of the beast came into being by speaking, saying to them, legislative action. But the image of the beast is not in life then. But they have to have life before it able to what? Speak and cause. Now it says, and he now, the second beast, had not speech but what?
Power.
Power to give what? Life unto the image of the beast. So the image of the beast what?
Speak and cause.
So it's now time for the image of the beast to start to what?
Yes.
Get to life. Then
Oh
came
my goodness. No,
this
yes,
man.
That's all,
He is the game changer.
I was going to tell you.
I'm going to prove to you that he is the game changer. So by 2006, 2009, the image of the beast was formed. The two criteria were met. The churches were able to have the Congress support their decrees being passed through lobbying, Christian religious lobbying. And the second was they were being sustained through the what? 501c3 organizations. Image of the beast formed by 2006, 2009. It formed, but had no life. It had to get life, not by speech, but by what? Power.
Power. Look there. See that?
2016 presidential elections and Trump courting evangelical. So, he wasn't doing very bad. He wasn't doing very well. And two important persons, one of them being Ben Carson, said, you know what? You need to get the evangelicals on your side. And we're going to be the in-between. We're going to have a special meeting in New York, and we're going to invite them. And it was far more successful than they thought. Thousands of evangelical pastors came. And they pitched Trump to them as one of them. So the Christians are the most powerful lobbyist group. Follow me now. Listen carefully. What date am I showing here? 2016. This is before the election. This is when the evangelicals are supporting him now. Listen what he says. I'm reading from the Brody file. Exclusive. Donald Trump tells Brody file, I want to give power back to the church.
I remember that.
February 2016. In an exclusive interview with the Brody file, Donald Trump wants to see Christian pastors speak more boldly from the pulpit because as he sees it, the church has to have more
Power.
And the image came to life because of what was given to it. Power. So you say, oh Ella, that's just one slide up there. Let's look at some more slides. Next one. They have taken a lot of the power away from the church. I want to give
Power.
power back to the church. So the image of the beast has been formed. But what does it need to get life? Power. What is he saying going to give them? Power. I want pastors and ministers to be able to get up and speak on behalf of Christianity. And they are afraid to do it right now because they don't want to lose their tax exempt status. We will take care of that. I don't think you guys got that.
Yeah, I got it.
So he's saying, despite you guys on the bonds of the 501c3, I want you guys to give you guys power, so you guys can either support or refute a candidate from your pulpit. That's the power I want to give you guys back. And they blessed him. They blessed him. They blessed him. And he won 81% of the evangelical vote. That's why he became president.
Yes.
The evangelicals.
Oh, yes.
81% voted for him. Trump takes.
Power.
God, you're such a good God.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Out of the mouth of rock stones you speak.
Yes.
The Washington Post is not a Christian paper, is it?
No.
No. So the very secular paper speaking prophecy.
Yes.
Trump takes power.
There you go.
And listen what he said in the prayer breakfast in 2017. Christian faith is not the past, but the present and the future. It's the foundation of progress. And I pledge to you that if I win, we're going to what? In the Johnston Amendment, which takes away the voice of our pastors. So in 2017, after he won, going on to 2018 now, it was time for what? Payback. And I remember this day, May 4, 2017. Like I've never remembered a day in my life. I came home from work, sat in front of the television, and my jaw dropped. Because the week before, I told someone that this was going to happen. President Trump signs an executive order aimed at easing IRS rule limiting political activity for religious organizations. The gravity, how did the gravity that it hit you as yet? So what is he using here? Power, executive power. This is not a law. This is not a speech. You get it? This is power.
Yep.
He had power to give life to the image of the beast. So you know what he's saying here? He's saying, churches, you can speak as much as you want in support of or against political issues, even though you're under the 501c3. So it's removing the what? Muzzle from them.
So basically, he amended the
Absolutely, but by using his what? Power, not by using a what? Law, which would be a what? Speech. That would be saying, but the prophet says he did it by what? Power. Executive power. That was 2017. I want you to pay attention to the dates now. May 2017. Which year are we now?
2008.
Follow me now. So he made this change to the Johnston Amendment by saying by executive order, IRS, leave the churches alone. If they want to speak politics, leave them alone. Are you following me?
Yes.
May 4, 2017. By May 3rd, 2018, the following year, this is what happened. President Donald Trump announced Thursday, the following year, a new initiative that aims to give faith-based groups a stronger voice throughout the federal government and provide recommendations on administration policies. If that doesn't wake us up, we are sleeping to the point where nothing can wake us up. So is he giving power to the churches now?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. So May 2017, May 2018, and May 2018 when he said this, when he's going to give faith-based groups a stronger voice through the federal government and provide recommendations on administration policies, they signed it with Trump and this pastor here, named Pastor Darrell Scott, ratifying under a Masonic handshake as he signed it. So President Trump shakes hands with Pastor Darrell Scott, a co-founder of the New Spirit Revival Center, before Trump signs an executive order during an event in the Rose Garden Thursday. And this interesting lady was standing to the president's right. And this man here signed this, and they ratified with the most impressive Masonic handshake you ever seen in your life. And listen what Paula White says. Which year are we talking? 2018. Paula White. This order is a historic action, strengthening the relationship between faith and government. But I thought the First Amendment said that that's supposed to occur.
Right.
This order is a historic action, strengthening the relationship between faith and government in the United States, and the product will be countless lives transformed. Trump will sign executive order on faith initiative. Now, 2019. I'm being very systematic. Right now, what? 20 when? 19. So let's pay attention, friends. Pay attention. 2019. So listen on. 2019. Paula White to head Trump's Faith Office Religion News Service Monday, November 4th, 2019. So Paula White, who describes herself as the president's what? Spiritual what? Advisor, now as a table where? As a seat where? At the what? Very what? The very table. Brethren, are you understanding what we're discussing this evening?
Yes.
Brethren, you sure you understand what we're discussing this evening?
Yes.
Brethren, it's very simple. The ship is about to hit the ground. Do we understand that?
Yes.
There's going to be a collision between what? The 7-day Sabbath and the Sunday law. How close are we?
Very.
Very close. How close? Very close. Image of the beast has been formed from as early as 2006, 2009. And the image now has gotten what? Life through what? Power. Whose power? Executive power. Executive power used in 2017, 2018, and 2019, November the 4th, just last month. She now has a seat at the very table, with her name right there. So friends, the church state union has been formed, and the image of the beast of life. Only one thing left for the image of the beast to know since that life. And it is to what? Speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, how does that nation speak? We discussed that before. Through what? Which law in this case? The Sunday law. And cause the what? Enforcement. So the image of the beast is going about what? Influence the pastor for what? Sunday law and its what? Enforcement. Then the ship of Zion shall run aground. Then we see the collision between the law of God and the law of Caesar. And there are going to be persecution, friends.
Yes.
And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right and on their foreheads. What's this mark? Sundays are a mark of authority. The Catholic Record of London, Ontario, 1923. Last day events 22-24 says what? When the test comes, it will be clearly shown what is the mark of the beast. It is what? Keeping of Sunday. That's when, friends, the ship run aground. The word of God says in Revelation 13:17 that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name or the beast or the number of his name. Brethren, the law of God and the law of Caesar have come into collision and will come into collision again. How close are we?
Too close for comfort.
Thank God I soon go home. Thank God I soon go home. That's why I pour myself out like a drink offering. Yes, Marvin, now you understand why I get up when I'm dead and when I'm tired. That's why, Marvin. This is the reason why. Because I'm not speaking as a man who's thinking. I'm speaking as a man who is convinced and committed to what he's saying. I live what I'm saying. Because I've studied and I can prove it to you from the very words of history that what I'm saying is true. The image of the beast has been formed and it's getting what? Life. The only thing left for you to do is what?
Speak and cause.
Speak and cause. And we on the ship of Zion, we are as blind and uncaring and unsympathetic to a dying world as could ever. The captain has taken up the anchors and we see it. The rudders are in the water. The mainsail has been riven up to the wind. The wind of doctrine and strife. I have come in front of the Lord. Ecumenism, climate change, spiritual formation, pushing the church. And we see ourselves between the two seas. We have a work as ambassadors, as intercessors between the living and the dead.
Amen.
To preach the eternal message.
Amen.
And we are asleep. Just as the ship is about to hit ground. Image of the beast has been formed. Image getting life. Just for the image to speak and cause. And they run the ship aground. 70 and is moving collision with Rome at the passing of the national son-in-law. Thank God it's coming soon. And I have set my life in order. Because I know this is true. I'm not guessing. I live my life on this belief. You make up your mind. The forepart stuck fast and remained unmovable. We'll have to discuss that the next time I'm here. But the hinder part was broken with the violence of the waves. Mr. Preacher Man, are you saying this ship of Zion going to hit ground and don't move? Yes! And the hinder part going to be broken up? That's what the word of God says, not what I say. And the soldiers' counsel was to kill the prisoners, lest any of them should swim out and escape. Are you saying even those on the ship is going to try and kill those on the ship?
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Yes.
Thank God. Thank God for verse 43.
Yes.
But the centurion willing to save Paul kept them from their purpose.
Amen.
And commanded that they which could swim should cast themselves first and get to land. Our next study. Wait on the command. Wait on the command. Friends, I'm tired, but I'm happy. You know why I'm happy?
I'm going home.
Going home soon, friends. Friends, don't look so sharp, man.
What the?
Yes, friends, the ship of Zion is going to hit against Rome. And the front part is going to stay on land, and the back part is going to be smashed by the waves. But a command is going to be given.
Swim.
God, I'm looking forward to that swimming time. Get to shore. I'm going to close off in prayer. And I'll leave you in suspense. We'll wait on the command.